Okay, hello everybody.
Hi everyone.
Welcome to Together Learning Conference 2019. My name's Eric. This is
Mehrasa here.
And we're trying something a little bit new, a little bit interesting. We're trying to mix a real event and a virtual event. We had a bunch of things going on this weekend. We have some research to share with you, but basically we want to talk about what we're doing here and a little bit about what we're trying with this event.
Right.
Okay, so yes. We represent a research group called MAVER, which stands for
the Mixed, Augmented, and Virtual Realities in Learning Special Interest Group.
It's quite a mouthful, I know. We just call ourselves MAVERs for short. We're a research group based in Japan. It's basically a community, right? A community of developers, educators, tech enthusiasts, like an educational technology group, but mainly we focus on augmented and virtual realities, and even more so augmented and virtual realities in learning and language learning specific. Right. So we have a big group. You can find us on this one down here. I'm in the way. Maver.site. Maver.site. We're pretty good about putting our research and our presentations. So it's a lot of information there about VR and AR in educational context. So if you're interested, please come check that out.
Sure.
And we're here today at Kyoto Gaidai for short. You know what that means in long word?
Yeah, Kyoto Gaikukugo Daigaku.
Right, in Japanese. Yeah. In English, it's
Kyoto University of Foreign Studies.
Right, for which I teach at a new department here called the Kokusai Koken Gakubu, which means the School of Global Engagement. And inside of that, we have a School of Global Tourism, which I teach classes. And we're here, an open campus, hosting an AR, VR experience zone or something like that. We have a bunch of activities here. We're going to talk about that, what we're doing later on. So that's where we are, physically. This is like running research, and have everything up on a blog called Ready Teacher One. It's all VR and AR related research, and you can find all that information if you search on that website as well. Have you seen that blog?
Yeah, okay. I have, and I've seen some of your videos.
Okay.
So you host them on YouTube,
right? I'm a big YouTuber too. So. Yeah. Forever Kyoto. I mentioned this is a School of Tourism. So we're doing a bunch of VR stuff in tourism too. So I thought I might mention Forever Kyoto. We're doing a bunch of interesting things with students, creating augmented and virtual reality context for immersive tourism and using it for tourism education. I think there's a lot of potential for using this. And
I'll be talking about this in a few minutes.
Right. That's why I wanted to mention it. That was another reason I wanted to mention
it. Thank
you. Right. So again, I'm Eric. This is Mehrasa. You can find me online by just Googling me, and Mehrasa, I think I've Googled you before too.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff on you too, online as well.
Yeah.
So now I'd like to hand it over. You want to tell us a little about one project that we're doing together?
Sure,
okay.
Yes.
I'll hand this off to you.
All right, thank you.
And I'll move over here.
Wonderful. All right, so this project I want to talk about is called the My Hometown Project, which I collaborated with Eric on. And basically for this project, the students were trained on creating virtual tours using the Google Tour Creator app. And then they had to use those tours to introduce their hometowns to their classmates in the classroom environment. So to give you a better idea of what the whole study and this project was about, we did it with a couple of students from the Department of Global Tourism here at the Kyoto University of Foreign Studies. And the students were enrolled in a course named New Media Lab. And they, like I already mentioned, they used VR technology to create virtual tours of their hometowns so they could introduce their hometowns, the schools they went to, the place they'd grown up in, to their classmates. And For this project, there were several tools that we used, including 2 apps by Google, or 2 platforms by Google, Tour Creator and Expeditions, plus some mini VR goggles that the students used to view the VR content created by their peers. But before all this started, as a class project, the students needed training in creating tours. So Eric kindly, because he was in charge of the class, he arranged for lots of training, including lots of information on this website, plus lots of face-to-face orientation with the students to get them more familiar with creation in VR and creating virtual tours. So the students were ready to do it as a class project. And I think it took two sessions at least to do all the tours.
That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, he also had previously, once Google had released the VR app, he'd actually created this tutorial video about Tour Creator, and he had hosted it on his Ready Teacher One YouTube channel already. So you already got a view of that. And yeah, so this was part of the content that helped the students create those tours in VR. Also, yeah, this is what the whole experience looked like with the students in class. So as you can see, they were divided into several groups, and for each of the groups, there was one tour guide at a time presenting his or her hometown to the rest of the group. And then I think they would take turns to do the tours respectively in turn. Also, to add a bit of research to this project, we decided to collect some survey data from the students who were involved in this study. And to do so, well, we had interests in looking into this project from 2 different perspectives. One was from the perspective of being a tour guide or tour creation experience, how well they designed the course. That part, Eric prepared and put together a questionnaire which asked the students about their tour design, how easy or difficult or challenging it was to guide the rest of the class or their group members, and then also followed up by some additional questions like if they wanted to do it again, where they would take the students, so on and so forth. A couple of open-ended questions at the end. Also, to see what the effects of this was on the students' learning, how real their experience was, we tried to also ask them to fill in another questionnaire, which asked them about their virtual presence, whether this experience got them more motivated, and if it had any impact on their learning. Also, asking them what was challenging or interesting and enjoyable about creating a tour, and also guiding the students, guiding their classmates. So yeah, this is an ongoing study, and we have just finished the data collection part, and we'll be taking more time to analyze the data and hopefully publish it as a book chapter. And also later on, perhaps as a oops.
That's all right.
I'm trying to go back. All right, here we are. So yeah, we're trying to get it published as a book chapter, and also hopefully later on, from a different perspective, write another manuscript and submit it to a journal of tourism studies. Fingers crossed. Thank you. So yeah, I'll now hand it over to Eric.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks.
But I just wanted to talk a little bit about that project, because I'm very happy that you contacted me about it, because it was like a happy coincidence.
Yeah.
That I was already trying to do this kind of thing with my students, and now we get to pile on some research and have some more informed things about it.
Yeah. Also, same here. It was a great opportunity for me, because currently I'm not teaching any classes, and I was very happy to be working with somebody experienced as you. Yeah, with the students from the School of or Department of Global Tourism, I think it makes a lot of sense to do this study with them. It's a great case use for this group of students.
Just to see them get practical experience, right? Designing a tour and guiding people. I mean, I think they just got a lot out of that experience, and it was a great case use for using VR and creating VR. There's a lot of uses out there like learning this and that, math or physics inside of VR, but they're actually learning something by creating stuff in VR, which I think is really exciting.
That's true. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
All right, now I'll leave the floor.
Come on, switch. High five, tag team. All right. So that's the one study that we've been doing together, but I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about the physical place we're at and the activities that we're doing here on campus as a part of the open campus activities overall here at Kyoto University of Foreign Studies. You can't see it because I'm standing in a virtual space right now, but I'm actually in front of a green screen space, and I'm in a room on campus where we have lots of activities all around, VR activities, AR activities, and students are playing board games that were originally made to be assisted of learning through augmented reality. So there's a bunch of cool things happening around me that I wanted to go through, and we just finished in the past 2 days here on campus. This was August 2nd and 3rd, right? Right, so I'll go through those activities one by one. So we called this the AR VR Experience Zone. It was over 2 days, and we had about maybe 10 student volunteers, and some of our research group came, neighbor research members came. That also was here helping us out today as well. Yesterday and today. And for 4 hours of each of those 2 days, we had a series of augmented and virtual reality activities. And I'll go through those one by one. We had some virtual tours that the students created in the My Hometown project, which Mehrasa just introduced to us. And students were giving guided tours of their hometowns to small groups of visitors that came. Visitors were high school students. There were some people interested in AR and VR that came. So it was not only just open campus as a recruiting event, but it was also tech enthusiasts were able to come and mix as well into that group. So there was a big mix of different people coming to this event. The other one was an AR hunt. It was a lot like Pokmon Go. And we have an AR wall, which is connected to an orientation project that I've been working on and iterating on for several years now. And we had a game zone where students were playing board games, and they got to learn how to play some board games using augmented reality. And some students were giving short presentations on their experiences using AR and VR in the classes here at the university campus. We just heard about this one. I mean, also just heard about. So we had some VR tours, right? So this is the one I just explained, and we talked quite in depth already. So the students are giving tours of their hometowns in small groups. It's something they know well about. And one of the interesting things about this is here in Kyoto, we have a concentration problem when it comes to tourism. So a lot of tourists, we're getting records numbers of tourists every year here. And we're leading up to we have the Olympics here next year. And we expect even more tourists coming in the next couple of years. And a lot of the tourists are going to the same places at the same times. And there's a drain on local resources. There's a drain on locals' patience, to be honest. And there needs to be some way to kind of disperse tourists or get them at least interested or at least knowledgeable about places other than the most popular tourist attractions. So this project was very good for that because students were talking about their hometowns and they were connecting personal stories to places that aren't necessarily tourist attractions. So we're collecting a database of VR tours together with this project to kind of create community-based tourism, a human-centered, human connection-based approach to tourism promotion. So we'll have, hopefully, if this runs on for any number of years, a nice large database of tours connected with stories of growing up in Japan. And I think that might be interesting for tourists as well. You get to see a little bit more of information, especially in English, about Japanese destinations that you wouldn't see on a tourist website. Right, this one I'm really excited about. Cuffs Go. So it's a play on Pokmon Go. I teach a class on campus here called GameBased Tourism. And in that class, we start off learning about game design and game mechanics. And to learn that, we start by playing some board games, and I have students analyze the mechanics and the rules and the gameplay as we learn about the design and implementation of game and gamification. And so we take that knowledge, and then I give them an application from which they can connect digital contents to a set of playing cards. It's called the Orientation app. It's also used in the AR, wall I'll talk about in a second. And they create a gamified tour of campus. And they're given the smartphone app, or they can take some iPads that we have loaded around campus, and they go around pulling out clues and hints out of physical objects around campus. And over the course of this route, they learn what's around campus and what's available. It's kind of like a tour, but it's gamified in some sense. So it has some elements of Pokmon Go, has some elements of kind of a guided digital tour. And the route, I'm actually standing in this virtual space, but I'm actually in room 433 where the home base of this course was. So in that course I taught, the game-based tourism class, students got into groups and created quizzes and hints in the form of videos and pictures and some written material to help give hints to people to kind of tell them where to go without telling them actually where it is. So participants pull that information out of the environment using an app, augmented reality app, scanned from computer vision algorithm using visual triggers, image triggers, and they get hints and clues and get guided towards the next location on campus. In class, we created 10 locations with 10 quizzes, but for the purposes of today, to keep the time low, we narrowed it down to 4, and we chose the 4 locations closest to this room. So they started here, they got a little onboarding about the app, how to use it, and then they got sent out. Actually, this is what it looked like, the cards, right? So you can see they're playing cards, and you scan it with the app, and it says mission begin, and it gives you some hints. And you got a video, sometimes pictures, sometimes some text, and it guided you to the next location. So it's kind of like a image-triggered augmented reality hints. And we had a wall that was connected to them. So just an overview, I've been working on this augmented reality app, iterating on it for probably about 5 years now, and it's called Orientation, and it's a set of playing cards optimized for computer vision algorithms, and it's free and open source, and it's geared towards students and teachers, and we've been using it in tourism a lot as well. It's designed, hopefully, to make the workflow to get students creating things in AR as streamlined as possible. So we have triggers that are decided with a set of 52 playing cards. All the images are Creative Commons licensed. You can download and print them freely, and start connecting contents to them via a Google form, which is really simple and everybody knows how to use. So you can say, I want card 1 to show you a video, just put in a YouTube link, and the app does the rest, figures out what you want to show and shows it on top of that card. So in this game-based learning class, they're using this app and filling out Google Forms and connecting digital contents to cards and testing them out and see how they work. And they, as a class together, all their contents, after they got tested, get put together into one project and get loaded into the app. So participants here at Open Campus can try out the entire Cuffs Go experience. But there's a wall with all the cards on them. And every time that someone finishes the Cuffs Go route, we take a picture, and it automatically gets added into the same orientation app. And every person that's completed it gets connected to a card automatically, so you can see the different people that have already completed the routes and see a collection of people, cheering. So it's kind of like a community art space. I've used this in several different ways before, and we're kind of using this to kind of experiment with new ways to store digital information for communication purposes. There's a video here. It's not playing right now, but if you look on the blog, the Ready Teacher One, or on our Neighbor site, you can see a lot of videos and practical usage of this application in use. And a lot of demos are up as well. But this is a demonstration of the big project before I graduated. I used this before in a previous class where I had students make video testimonials of what they'd like to accomplish before they graduate and put them up on this same AR wall. And using the app, they could see students in other classes and see their aspirations, and it would allow them to send messages back and forth to help them kind of find out students that were interested in the same kind of goals that they were. And so it became this kind of communal art augmented space, and that wall is long gone, and the contents survive inside the app in a book form, which students can now see. And it's kind of a good case use for privacy in this kind of application as well, because all the videos are unlisted, and because they're in the augmented reality app, you don't show any links, or you don't have the link name, so they're fairly safely private, semi-private way to store information and still have it accessible after the fact to students. And you can just Google that one, Before I Graduate Augmented Reality Project, for orientation as well. All right, we also had a game zone. Board games. Like I mentioned that we're playing board games to learn game mechanics and game design in one of my classes. That became a big hit with the students. So from that, they actually started a board game circle here on campus, and they wanted to host part of the area. So they created some videos about how to play the game and put them into the orientation app. So even though there was only about 6 of them there, they had 5 or 6 games on display, and you can go up and look at some videos about how the game is played and watch them play a little bit of the game in that physical space next to where the board was set up. And if students were a little bit interested in that game, they can maybe go and talk to one of the circle people, and they can help them get a game started. So it was a fun way for the students and their initiative to get augmented reality contents connected to something that they were interested in. And they just had fun playing some games. So we were in room 433 here. We had the tours and the art wall. The game zone was a little bit down the way. And the hunt started and ended here, but they were running all over campus. And we did that yesterday and today, speaking on the 3rd. And we're hoping to, as Mehrasa mentioned earlier, put out some semi-formal and formal research on this as we move along. So you're getting this presentation hot off the press, I guess. This is something we just tried and finished today, and you'll be hearing more about it. And we're hoping to iterate on it as well. We have a line group, and all the students uploaded things on the internet, so you can check these hashtags and these accounts. Cuffs Go and Cuffs GT is the global tourism department here, the AR/VR zone. So some of our, student volunteers are uploading things to the internet using these hashtags. So you might be able to see some of the students' perspectives if you look at some of these communication outlets. All right. I think that's all that we have. Mehrasa, do you want to add anything? You want to say goodbye with it together?
Thank you to you, Eric, for this opportunity. I really had a great time, and I learned a lot, and it was great. doing this recording as well, because I think we experimented with lots of new things, and there was a lot of trial and error, but it was really worth it. And I hope in the future we'll have more events hosted in VR with
and mixed
participants, joining.
The whole idea is to get people physically in the same space and connect them with people from all over the world in this area, right? This same research area, because we feel like we have a lot to share, but we're kind of on an island here in Japan, so we want to make our community a little bit bigger, and hopefully we'll be doing more of that in VR as well.
Right. Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you, and thank you for watching.
Thanks.
We'll see you around.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.